Concerts can be some of the most exhilarating and memorable experiences of your life, usually for good reasons, but some concerts end in disaster. Welcome to Beyond the Screen, I'm Nate, and these are the top 10 celebrity festivals that ended in disaster. Number 10, Drake. Drake is one of Canada's favorite music makers, beginning his career as an artist in 2006, releasing his first mixtape called Room for Improvement. His official debut album, Thank Me Later, released 4 years later and launched him into superstardom. While performing at a concert in 2013, Drake had been warned not to do anything crazy on stage, as he had just torn his ACL. While performing Best I Ever Had, Drake landed wrong after a jump and he collapsed onto the ground. He was carried off the stage, and that's when the disaster happened. Lil Wayne came out to defuse the tension by performing stand-up comedy. His opener was, wow, Drake really does have bad knees. I thought it was just on TV. Clearly referencing his character from Degrassi that was in a wheelchair. Yeah, the crowd did not respond to the set, and many left wondering what made Lil think that he could do that and think that everything would be okay. Number 9, Tana Mongeau. Tana made her money on YouTube by creating wholesome family content. I'm just kidding. She told stories that sometimes involved her glugging back adult beverages. She gained a massive following, receiving millions of views per video, and in 2018, Tana was not made a featured creator at VidCon, which just meant that she couldn't go backstage and was made to walk through a crowd of people. She would still attend the events and cause several fire hazards thanks to the hundreds of people that surrounded her, landing her with a lifetime ban from any future events. Oh well, if they won't have her, she'll just make her own festival. TanaCon. The venue has now been referred to as the Fyre Festival of YouTube. If you don't know what that is, hang tight, it's coming. Despite selling tickets ahead of time, fans were made to wait in long lines in the hot sun for over 6 hours with no food or water. There were 2 lines. There was a free entrance line and a VIP badge line. When they realized the venue wouldn't be able to hold so many people, guess which line the security guards started kicking people out of? The ads made it sound like this was a massive event, but it basically took place in a tiny hallway, like one single hallway. And what did you get for spending $1,000 on your trip? Well, a little goodie bag that was said to include items that were double the value of your ticket, but those items were adult skin tubes, stickers, and wristbands. Nah, nothing fancy. To top it off, the event was shut down due to health concerns, forcing most of her fans to turn around and go home. Needless to say, that event caused major backlash, and it destroyed her career as a YouTube superstar. Guys, if you want to do a festival, the first rule is double check the venue capacity. Number 8, Taylor Swift. This one's for all of you Swifties out there. Taylor's Nashville show, the 3rd spot on her Eras tour, made headlines this year after many concert goers reported delays caused by weather. Any fans with floor or lower bowl seats were forced to take shelter under the arena's bleachers where the concession stands were, and stayed there for 3 hours due to the heavy rain hitting the open ceiling arena. At first this wasn't so bad, but as the crowd began to grow, so did the anxiety. Eventually people were standing shoulder to shoulder with absolutely nowhere to go. Many fans took to social media to compare the event to Astroworld's dangerous crowd conditions. The situation caused several panic attacks, with some fans even passing out after the sheer anxiety and fear from the situation. Eventually the weather passed and the concert did go on as planned, but many fans took the opportunity to leave the building, claiming that the event had ruined their night. Not to mention there were fears of another rain incident taking place, which could have caused the crowd to return to the under bleachers. While those who left probably missed a solid vocal performance, the concert as a whole was soaked with disappointment. Number 7, Greenday. Greenday's rock stylings have been around for a very long time. You may not be able to tell by looking at him, but Greenday's frontman Billy Joe Armstrong is 51 years old. I guess if you just release all the angst inside of you, it's actually really great for your skin. In 2012, Billy's long history of substance control issues caught up to him during a performance at the iHeart Music Festival in 2012. When the monitor alerted him that there was only 1 minute left in their set, he cut the music and went on an intoxicated tirade against the festival for cutting their set short. He started swearing at the organizers of the venue over and over, telling them that he was not Justin Bieber and that they could not cut his set short. Of course, the minute passed, and when the screen said 0, he snapped. Billy smashed his guitar against the stage and told the crowd that they would be back. Well, the next day, Billy got put on a plane to Oakland and underwent treatment in a rehab facility. They did eventually return in 2019 with a now cleaner and happier Billy behind the mic. Number 6, Fyre Festival. In 2017, one of the most expensive and biggest festival blunders in history took place. A young entrepreneur named Billy McFarlane, alongside with the help of rapper Ja Rule, co-founded the now infamous Fyre Festival, a luxury music festival that was supposed to take place on a private island in the Bahamas. McFarlane was promising concert goers the opportunity to party with models and celebrities while staying in luxurious villas along the beach with private chefs and music bumping 24/7. It almost sounds too good to be true. It's because it definitely was. It was later revealed that Billy had actually been coming up with get-rich-quick schemes the entire time that he was planning the festival. He sold hundreds of packages for luxury tents, cottages, and yacht rentals that just did not exist. And on top of lying to guests about the accommodations, in the 2 weeks prior to the event, McFarlane announced to ticket holders that the event would be cashless and that everyone would be given a special RFID bracelet that you were supposed to preload with funds, which had already been warned against by the island locals because the Wi-Fi connection was terrible and basically non-existent, so they wouldn't work. However, this announcement led to some people loading as much as $500,000 on their cards that they never got to see. Once ticket holders arrived on the island, they were quickly faced with the reality that they were not staying in luxurious villas and instead would all be sleeping in emergency tents left over from hurricane season. Oh, and the 5-star meals that they were promised ended up being closer to like a hospital cafeteria lunch. Before guests landed on the island, one of the main musical acts, Blink-182, had pulled out. After one night of this music festival, another act, Major Lazer, pulled out, and it was ultimately decided that they would cancel the event entirely. This left hundreds of people stranded on the island for multiple days, as anyone landing in the Bahamas on the morning of the cancellation had booked return flights for later in the week, and unfortunately any planes that were leaving before that were already booked solid because the concert took place on the same weekend as the annual Exuma Regatta. The photos from Fyre show nothing but panic and chaos as bags are stolen and tents are ransacked. Following the event, McFarlane was arrested and found to have been involved with wire fraud and misuse of company funds. But fun fact, he just released tickets for Fyre Festival too, despite being a criminal now. That's a real thing that happened on the news this week. Number 5, Woodstock 99. In 1999, a music festival took place between July 25th and July 22nd. The concert was created as an attempt to emulate the original Woodstock Festival in 1969. Like previous festivals of the same name, it was held in upstate New York, only this time at Griffiths Air Force Base, which sits roughly 100 miles from the original Woodstock site. Over the 4-day event, over 220,000 people were in attendance. For some reason though, the energy around the concert was nothing like the hippy-dippy style of the 60s. From day one, fans were noticeably aggressive towards each other, with many altercations and physical disputes taking place over the event. The event was noticeably filled with either hardcore rap artists or rock metal bands. The lineup included groups like Korn, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Fatboy Slim, and the ones that kicked the hornet's nest, Limp Bizkit. Now, while no one of these bands is fully to blame for the disastrous events, it was when Limp Bizkit took the stage that fans finally snapped. Fred Durst, the lead singer, made a horrible decision when he grabbed the mic and told the audience to start breaking stuff. While he may have just been setting up for the band to play their famous song, Break Stuff, fans were quickly riled up. So much so that they began climbing equipment and breaking as many things as possible as quickly as possible, even tearing down a sound booth and letting Durst crowd surf above them. The already disastrous event became even more chaotic following the incident, as the night ended with riots and a massive fire. Number 4, Guns N' Roses featuring Metallica. In 1992, the greatest heavy metal concert of all time hit Montreal. Or that was how it was supposed to go anyway. The build up to this concert was huge, as Metallica and Guns N' Roses are two legendary rock bands. Seeing them live together on stage should have gone down in rock history, but unfortunately, this concert was cursed from the get-go. During one of the first Metallica songs, guitarist and singer James Hetfield was standing in the wrong place at the wrong time. He missed a physical cue, which resulted in him standing directly next to a pyrotechnic explosion. As the effect went off, the guitar immediately became out of tune, and James was rushed off stage. The flames had melted the strings on his guitar and left James with second-degree burns on his arm. Of course, the band was forced to end their set early and they left the stage, which is bad enough, but then Guns N' Roses took 2.5 hours to show up and perform to an already annoyed audience. And the cherry on top, Axl Rose had famously been having vocal problems on the tour that year and would take a lot of breaks during the show to sit backstage and rest his voice for a few minutes. So Guns N' Roses, for some reason, reason decided to leave after only 45 minutes on stage, and Montreal was quick to show just how angry Canadians can really be, as they took to the city streets and began rioting. Fans were seen flipping cars, breaking store windows, and setting numerous amounts of fires across the city. Multiple altercations took place with the Montreal Police Department, but the crowd was eventually subdued. Eventually. Number 3. Kahlani. Kahlani is an American singer-songwriter and dancer originally from Oakland, California. In 2014, Kahlani released their first commercial mixtape, Cloud 19, and their follow-up album, You Should Be Here, released the following year and debuting at number 5 on the R&B hip-hop chart. At a recent show in Philadelphia's Mann Center, Kahlani's concert was cut short when the artist was made aware of several fans fainting in the audience. They announced to the audience that the heat combined with the massive number of fans made them feel that everyone in the building was at risk of heat stroke or possibly another stage rushing situation like Astroworld. The artists shared their love for the city, expressing how they simply didn't have any words to express how disappointed and heartbroken they are. The following day, Kahlani posted several Instagram stories following the show and wrote, "Philly, thanks for the incredible evening. I care about you guys more than anything and I put you before anything else. Thank you so much to the venue, the staff for their diligence, swift care, and for everyone in my audience. And I can't wait to come back. Love you, Philly. Cannot stress enough how much I love you and how important you are to me." A well-typed apology for sure, but if you buy a ticket to a concert in the summer, you better be ready for the heat. Hopefully their next show will be in the winter or Antarctica. Number 2. Smash Mouth. The band, best known for their song All Star, featured in the opening moments of the classic animated comedy Shrek. In 2015, the group were performing at a food festival called the Taste for Collins in Fort Collins, Colorado. Some vendors at the festival were handing out free loaves of bread, not slices like full loaves, and this meant that there were a lot of people sipping the happy juice armed with bricks of gluten. During the band's set, many fans were seen throwing bread at both the stage and up into the air, and unfortunately a few of those pieces hit their frontman Steve Harwell. In footage taken from the event, you can see Harwell standing at the front of the stage as the band slowly begins to play All Star behind him. Steve's backed by a bass line as he starts telling the audience to throw one more thing at him to see what happens. Well, he said the magic words, and another slice of bread was thrown. Steve had to be held back by security guards as he was not playing around. Thankfully, this was basically at the end of the concert, and Harwell was escorted off the stage before an encore could take place. And at number 1, Travis Scott. Yeah, in case you forgot, Travis was responsible for one of the worst concert tragedies in recent history. During his Astroworld event in Houston, 8 people passed away from accidental suffocation after a crowd surge took place. The entire audience rushed the stage and the large outdoor event became a small outdoor oven. 2 more people passed away a few days later in hospital. He was facing a massive slew of charges following the event, but it didn't stop him from trying to show up at more concerts. In fact, he had already been booked to headline Coachella in 2022, but they had to let him go and replaced him following the massive amount of hate online. Not only was his Coachella concert canceled, but a few months before he was supposed to co-headline a festival called Day in Vegas with SZA and J.Co. The show was ultimately canceled thanks to the Astroworld tragedy. He's since returned to the stage, appearing in small venues and eventually performing at the 2022 Billboard Music Awards. And those are the celebrity festivals that ended in disaster. Who did we miss, and who would you like to see in a part 2? Let us know in the comments below, and please drop a like on this video. As always, thank you for stopping beyond the screen, and we'll see you next time.